Hi, I'm Rev Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 40 years. I'm going through the lessons this year, asking Jesus to clarify for me. And then I'm writing from that clarity, and that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. I'm looking at lesson 156. I walk with God in perfect holiness. This is an amazing lesson, by the way. Paragraph 1. Today's idea but states a simple truth that makes the thought of sin impossible. It promises there is no cause for guilt, and being causeless, it does not exist. It follows surely from the basic thought so often mentioned in the text: ideas leave not their source. If this be true, how can you be apart from God? How could you walk the world alone and separate from your source? It seems that here in the world, we are separate from God, and yet how could that be possible? We are an idea in the mind of God, and ideas do not leave their source. God is our source, and so we are with him and could be nowhere else. This idea of a world apart from God is not possible. Since we are in God, we cannot be sinful, could never be sinful. Guilt is not possible. I don't know how it is for others, but guilt has been a part of my identity for as long as I can remember. I find it hard to let that idea go, and yet I know it cannot be true. It doesn't even make sense. If God created me guilty, I would be forever guilty. But since God created me as an extension of himself, the only way I could be guilty is if he were guilty. So no, I cannot be guilty, nor can anything God created. Paragraph 2. We are not inconsistent in the thoughts that we present in our curriculum. Truth must be true throughout if it be true. It cannot contradict itself, nor be in parts uncertain and in others sure. You cannot walk the world apart from God because you could not be without him. He is what your life is. Where you are, he is. There is one life, that life you share with him. Nothing can be apart from him and live. I cannot be apart from God because God is life. There is not life for me and life for you. There is just life. And that life I share with the Creator. So I cannot be apart from him and still live. And I cannot die because being an extension of God, I am part of life as well. And life cannot die. It is crazy how wrong we got it when we imagined this world. Well, I suppose we wanted to try something different, and we certainly succeeded in that. But how could we have fooled ourselves so thoroughly when it makes no sense at all? Paragraph 3. Yet where he is, there must be holiness as well as life. No attribute of his remains unshared by everything that lives. What lives is holy as himself, because what shares his life is part of holiness, and could no more be sinful than the sun could choose to be of ice, the sea elect to be apart from water, or the grass to grow with roots suspended in the air. 4. There is a light in which you cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. All things that live bring gifts to you and offer them in gratitude and gladness at your feet. The scent of flowers is their gift to you. The waves bow down before you, and the trees extend their arms to shield you from the heat and lay their leaves before you on the ground that you may walk in softness while the wind sinks to a whisper round your holy head. I cannot be apart from God. I cannot be guilty. I cannot be apart from life. I am holy as God. Oh, geez. I don't know how to feel about this. The ego's jumping up and down in fear. It believes to think of myself as this is arrogant and foolish. But this is the truth about me, not me, the body of Myron, but it is true of what I am. Jesus is very clear about this. He wants us to understand that being part of God is being part of all he is, of all that God is. We cannot be separated from holiness because we cannot be separated from ourselves in God. We cannot be different from God in any way. This tells me that thinking of myself as Myron is ridiculous. 5. The light in you is what the universe longs to behold. All living things are still before you, for they recognize who walks with you. The light you carry is their own, and thus they see in you their holiness, saluting you as Savior and as God. Accept their reverence, for it is due to holiness itself, which walks with you, transforming in its gentle light all things unto its likeness and its purity. Because I am not Myron, I can accept the truth about myself. This truth is God walks with me, and all living things recognize this light. It is the same light that is in them. They see their holiness in me. They recognize me as Savior and as God. We can accept their reverence because it is due to holiness itself, not our imagined little self. Here is how I imagine this happening. If I see you on the street, I see a body and a personality that might like, or that I might like, or Myron might like or not like. But I, myself, sees yourself. My true self sees your true self, and I recognize you. My heart is filled with joy and reverence for what you are and what I am. I think something like this is going on all the time. After all, what I am has not ceased to exist just because I am presently unaware of it. 6, this is the way salvation works. As you step back, the light in you steps forward and encompasses the world. It heralds not the end of sin and punishment and death. In lightness and in laughter is sin gone because its quaint absurdity is seen. It is a foolish thought, a silly dream, not frightening, ridiculous perhaps, but who would waste an instant and approach to God himself for such a senseless whim? 7, yet you have wasted many, many years on just this foolish thought. The past is gone with all its fantasies. They keep you bound no longer. The approach to God is near. And in the little interval of doubt that still remains, you may perhaps lose sight of your companion and mistake him for the senseless ancient dream that now is past. When I'm caught up in some story or another in which guilt seems to be unavoidable, I am lost to myself, my true self. The world all feels so real, and the effects of separation feel so inescapable. It seems like I must defeat the ego in order to become free. But this is not so. The world of sin and punishment and death simply vanish. Yes, I see that it is still there for the eyes to see, but without belief in it, the world of the ego is laughable. I know this is true because I've had that experience, though it still wavers and is not yet a permanent vision. It is still like those pictures that used to be popular. Do you remember them? They looked like a lot of dots, but if you kept looking, the dots would form a clear picture of something, and then it was hard to not see it. But maybe that picture would waver and the whole thing would be dots again. My vision of the world is doing that for me now, wavering. It wavers with my beliefs. When my mind is clear, I see the world differently and I feel more like myself. When my mind becomes caught up in one of the world's stories, I feel like Myron, like the ego version of myself. When this happens, instead of being peaceful and loving, I feel upset, angry, and fearful. Fortunately, I have seen the world for the illusion it is, so I can shake off the story and move back into happiness. Paragraph 8. Who walks with me? This question should be asked 1,000 times a day till certainty has ended doubting and established peace. Today, let doubting cease. God speaks for you in answering your question with these words. I walk with God in perfect holiness. I light the world. I light my mind and all the minds which God created, one with me. Thank you so much for sharing this lesson with me. If you found this helpful, then please like it. If you haven't yet, subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with another lesson.